Hey, what is going on, guys? This is DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the two-game NBA playoff slate on Friday. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome. I do cover Draftkings for NBA, USFL, and esports, also making content for Prize Picks and NBA Top Shot. The sponsor of today's video, guys, is Super Draft. You can use the link in the description below for a $50 match and a $50 deposit. Again, I'm so excited to be working with Super Draft. There's a couple different ways you can play. They do have player prop stuff, and they also have multiplier formats where how it works is, usually the good players are around 1x multiplier, while, the bench players are, 1.5 to anywhere up to 2x. So a little bit different way to play DFS, and they do have some decent sized contests as well. So again, guys, use that code DKDFS. It is linked down below. And if you guys are looking for more in-depth content, I do offer that on patreon.com. Just like I said, been an amazing playoffs. Probably should have brought this up before, but once again, more big winners. No real surprise. It's been daily routine here. Christopher almost taking down the big FanDuel tournament. I think he finished in 7th. Was it? Yeah, 7th, winning $500. Congrats, man. It could have been a huge night for you. Shahid with a nice takedown, $100 off 10, and then more big winners in the Discord as well. First place and $4,000. Yeah, like I said, we're having a lot of fun. But yeah, so that is that. Let's recap my lineup from yesterday. So, once again, very easily cashed. Almost a 3x night for me. It's been, like I said, cashing like 80% rate in tournaments so far. One of the few times I did not cash was when Draymond got ejected. And I still even cashed from Garrett Payton got injured a couple days ago. So we've been just riding this hot streak. It feels good. So let's go over my lineup. Once again, I went heavy in the later game, the Dallas Phoenix team. My take on Patreon was I really liked Phoenix. Phoenix was my favorite team to target. Worked out in a pretty solid way. There weren't a lot of high scores on this slate, but yeah, I played 5 guys from Phoenix. Unfortunately, that game blew out. Starters got pulled with about 4 minutes left. If that game did not blow out, I would have been looking at a much bigger night. Also, we got the DeAndre Ayton foul trouble, but JaVale McGee was in foul trouble too. I was just so tilted about that because if McGee didn't get in foul trouble himself there, he's breaking the slate. So he still had a solid game, but man, if McGee could have kept his hands to himself and played like 20, 25 minutes, he's going for 35 plus, right? So, that was tilting. But yeah, so in the early game, I just had Paul Reed and Bam Adebayo. Bam was solid. I didn't mention I liked Jimmy as a pivot off of Bam. The ownership was way too wide. Again, overreactions to one game, right? You saw Bam in contests like 60+%. Jimmy was like 10%. And we covered that. I was like, I like Jimmy as a pivot. Off of massive chalk Bam. If you did go there, that you did get rewarded. Paul Reed, he played more minutes. However, he wasn't as productive. I'm fine with it, though. I'll play him in that spot again for a good point per minute guy. And it looks like Embiid's not going to play. We'll see. It's kind of like the Devin Booker situation. They still have a chance that Embiid could get ruled in before tomorrow, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then in the late game, I basically just stacked Phoenix with Luka. So I had Booker, Bridges, Payne, and Crowder. I mentioned I really liked Crowder for value. He was low owned again and smashed again. And then Payne and McGee were both fine. Again, as far as you always had to look at the slate overall. Like there is a lot of chalk busts, right? Massive chalk. PJ Tucker was a bust. Vincent bust. A lot of the Miami Heat value busted. Dorian Finney-Smith was a huge bust. Ayton was a huge bust. So even though there's only 3, again, it doesn't matter, but there's only 3 fire emojis on the entire slate. That stuff doesn't matter. Like I said, you have to look at the context of the slate. And if you avoided a lot of those busts like I did, I knew it was going to be a pretty solid night. So once again, a great night for myself. Hoping to keep this going, guys. And we have the same exact slate. We're running it back. Kind of weird scheduling, how there's no games Thursday and then we're back to the same games that were played yesterday. But hey, it is what it is. So we'll start off with Miami. And once again, they have everyone listed as questionable. Now, the only guy that's truly questionable is Kyle Lowry here. And so that would be pretty significant if Kyle Lowry is in. That's really going to hurt the value here from Miami. So that's big news to talk about. But Lowry coming back really doesn't hurt Jimmy and Bam too much. I mean, if Lowry is back, that's more ball handling for Lowry and less ball handling for Jimmy. But I still think Jimmy would be a decent play either way. Would play, probably 38 or so minutes. He's a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. And then Bam at 8-1. If there's no Embiid, I think it still makes for a good play. If Embiid plays, I'm not as excited about playing Bam. So that is one, like I said, we'll monitor the status of Embiid. I know Embiid already got ruled out, but the team said there's a chance they could still rule him in before tomorrow's game. And then, as I said, if Lowry plays, it just really hurts everyone. Like, Vincent's completely out of play. Struss would be overpriced. Oladipo would be a bit overpriced. Hero would probably be a bit like, it just really hurts everyone on Miami if Kyle Lowry plays. So that's huge news. Now, if Lowry misses, Hero's played well first couple games of the series. I think he's a fine tournament play. The mid-range options like Strus, Vincent, and Oladipo. Once again, my favorite would be Oladipo. Mentioned him as my favorite last time. He was the best of the value, and it's just because he's a relatively high-usage player when he's on the court. And I said there's a chance if he plays well, he closed. Well, he did play well, and he closed. So if there's no Lowry, I think Oladipo is obviously a solid value. And then Tucker was a very popular value play last night. He busted. I would say he's due for a bounce back here, but the price did increase to 4.5, so it's a little bit trickier to feel good about PJ Tucker. I don't really have much interest in Martin unless you think this game blows out. He'll probably only play around 15 or so minutes. And then once again, I'll mention Dwayne Dedmon. I mentioned him as a sneaky large field tournament play in my last video, and we talked about how box score watchers were just going to completely write him off because he only played 4 minutes. Well, we dug into it more, right? He had 5 fouls in 4 minutes, and he did get the backup 5 run to Bam, and he was in the winning lineup. If you go back to see who won the 100K, Dwayne Dedmon was in the winning lineup. So I'll mention him again. He played 11 minutes. He's going to play that backup 5 run. He will be productive when he's on the court. So once again, I think he's a viable punt play at the flat min price. All right, and then Philadelphia, obviously it just depends on Embiid, right? So we will see about this. Again, the team did not rule out him actually playing tomorrow. Even it's weird. Like, they ruled him out, but they said he can still play. So why? I don't, whatever. We'll monitor it. So if Embiid plays, I think of the spend ups for Philly, Embiid would be my favorite at 10-4. Would rather go to Embiid over Harden, rather go to Embiid over Harris and Maxey. Now, if Embiid misses, then we got to consider these Philadelphia guys. Do or die time. Harden at 9K has kind of been quiet over the first couple games, but he is the guy with the highest floor due to the fact that he'll be doing a ton of the ball handling. I mentioned that I liked Maxey the most of the secondary 76ers. That worked out in a big way just because I said, he's going to be lower owned because people are going to chase the Tobias Harris game, and it was correct. A lot more people went to Tobias over Maxey, and Maxey outperformed him. But, Maxey and Tobias will just kind of be secondary options there. If Embiid plays, they're probably, I don't think I can get to either. And then Paul Reed. So, again, massive foul trouble game 1. Had a great game in limited action. Game 2, he played a lot more, but didn't have as good of a game. I think both are outliers. I think game 1 was an outlier of he's not going to average 2 fantasy points per minute. I think game 2 was an outlier of he's not going to average half a fantasy point per minute. I think he's going to average around, a point per minute, maybe slightly above that. If we get 25 or so minutes from Reed again, I do think he makes for a decent value, assuming Embiid is out, right? And then the dust of DeAndre Jordan still got run, played 13 minutes. I would rather take the shot on Paul Reed for a little bit more. Danny Green has been awful. 1 of 10 shooting. The price had dropped a bit on him. If he knocks down the shots, he can have a decent game. So he's playable for tournaments. And if you play Niang, I really feel for you. I mentioned that I like Niang as a pivot off of Chalk, Maxi Kleba. And Niang was actually having a good game and probably would have outperformed Kleba. But he fouled out in 10 minutes. That is just absurd. So if there is no Embiid, you're going to get some small ball Niang at 3.7. I think he's once again a decent GBP play. The rest of Philly, you did see a little bit of run for Korkmaz, but 18 minutes. If there's no Embiid again, sure. You can take a shot on him for tournaments. You can take a shot on a thigh ball. Milton didn't play last game or played 1 minute. So if you want to take like a dart on Korkmaz Thibault in a large field tournament, you can. But I think my favorite of these like really cheap 76ers would probably be Niang. And then Phoenix and Dallas, once again, the game I have more interest in on this slate. But that is, again, dependent on Lowry and Embiid news. But yeah, for Phoenix, I think both the guards look pretty good here in Paul and Booker. Booker at 8.5 still feels a little bit underpriced. He'll play around 40 minutes in competitive game. And then Chris Paul has a little bit of a higher floor due to the fact of the peripheral stats. He had another big game. I like both the Phoenix guards here. I don't really have a super strong lean now that Chris Paul is a little bit cheaper than Booker. That feels about right. So they both look pretty similar to me in Paul and Booker. No real strong takes on those two Phoenix guards. DeAndre Ayton, I like as a bounce back. He got in massive foul trouble, only played 18 minutes. I think on average, we're going to get about 35 minutes from him. He should be able to have his way against Dallas front court. So don't mind Ayton there. In the mid-range, we know we're getting out of Bridges. I think he's a super safe play. Probably going to get you, 25 to 30 fantasy points. Probably going to play 40-plus minutes. So I think he's a safe option. I think Crowder's a relatively safe play, too, if he can stay out of foul trouble. Played 29 minutes last game. I think we're going to get around 30 from him. So no issue going to Crowder again. Cam Johnson got in a bit of foul trouble at 4.6, only played 17 minutes. I think on average we'll get low 20s minutes from him, which makes him a viable tournament play. And then the two cheap plays in Payne and McGee, once again, I think are viable. Now, Cam Payne got his minutes slashed last game. He did play a little bit in garbage time. Oh, that is Top Shot. Sorry about that. Let me bring that to another screen. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. We're still there. Sorry about that. I was in the queue for Top Shot. Let me just buy this playoff pack real quick while it loads up. Okay. We'll talk about Cam Payne while it's loads. So, Cam Payne, I mean, he was going to come in a little bit earlier in that game in the third quarter, but then he got waved off because Chris Paul started to take over late in the third. So Payne got his minutes cut a bit. I think on average, we're going to get around 15 or so minutes in Payne, which still makes him playable. He was very popular last slate, about 40+% in high stakes. I would guess because of recency bias, that will drop. And if it drops, it makes me like Payne more. And McGee, 3-2. I mean, he only played 10 minutes, but you see why I was so high in JaVale McGee of he doesn't need a lot of run to get there. And if he doesn't get in foul trouble here, he is breaking the slate. He went for 15 fantasy points in 10 minutes. He's going to play the backup 5 role. The only reason Bismack Biyombo played last game is because both Ayton and McGee were in foul trouble. So I think McGee, once again, is a solid punt play there at a very cheap price point. And then finally on the Dallas side, it's a must-win game here for Dallas. Luka Doncic, 11-6. I mean, he's the safest spend-up. He's going to play 40-plus minutes. Must-win. I don't think I've spent a ton of time to tell you that Luka Doncic is a good play on a small slate here. All right, Jalen Brunson at 6.4. So I think he's an okay option in the mid-range. Back-to-back games where he's gotten in foul trouble. I think that will keep his ownership relatively low. But besides the last 2 games, he's been pretty consistent, putting up some solid games even with Luka playing. So I think he is still a viable option here. And I think the ownership will be pretty low on a small slate. Dorian Finney-Smith got in massive foul trouble. If you played him last slate, you got very unlucky. Only played 20 minutes, so basically played half the minutes he usually does. But at 5.5, I think he's fine. Most likely gets you around 25 fantasy points. So still playable. Bullock had a decent game at 5.4. He avoided foul trouble, played 37 minutes, went for 25. Again, you kind of know what you're getting out of those two guys. Dinwiddie at 5.2. Minutes-wise for him, I think 25 to 30 off the bench. He started hot, but then really cooled off in the second half. More of a tournament option for me. And then Maxi Kleber, I think, is a fair value. He'll probably be pretty popular for salary relief. Again, played 28 minutes. I think on average, we're going to get about 25 minutes from him. Again, they can spread out Phoenix with playing Kleber. So decent value play. Dwight Powell at 36 has been really bad over the first couple games, 16 and 13 minutes. However, he was in some foul trouble last game. I think he makes her an interesting tournament option of, he's going to be very low owned after these 3 games. But you don't have to go back to, like, Dwight Powell can get you, 15 to 20 fancy points in limited time. So he'll get some alley-oops from Luka. I think he's a decent GPP play. Probably it. I mean, I know you saw Bertans have an okay game in 19 minutes, but there was just massive foul trouble on the Dallas side. Dorian Finney-Smith foul trouble. Brunson foul trouble. Dwight Powell foul trouble. So on average, maybe you get about 5 to 10 minutes in Bertans. I just don't think it's enough for me to go there. And kind of the same thing with Josh Green, right? The flat min price. So he'll most likely play a little bit, but it's just not enough for me to consider him, even on a small slate. So that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Again, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Appreciate everyone as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.